第4个改变是上半身的骨架，例如我们常称为锁骨的外形及胸骨的外形和大小都已经完全改变，与我们过去的认知不同。
Let's talk about the rest of the skeleton, because there's some big changes, and there's a couple, like I said, I found that I don't hear anyone else talking about, so let's get to that. Now I'd like to talk about the upper torso. This is a rendering that's floating around the internet of kind of what people remember as the old reality skeleton versus the new reality. And this is what my memory was from my childhood. Now, I remember skulls looking a lot more like this than like this. That being said, there was a big difference in the shoulders. The shoulder was just kind of like one big plate. Yeah, you had collarbones and stuff, but it didn't have all the articulations and the processes the new shoulder blades have. They seem smaller. I'm going to keep referring to this because it seems to me like this is almost more monkey-like. If you look at chimp spines and stuff, you're going to see that we kind of have more monkey stuff going on in the old spine. Now, one thing that I don't remember that's kind of inaccurate here is there was a manubrium and a sternum right here down to about the second or third rib, and then a lot of this was just a cartilage plate. Where in the new rib cage, this sternum goes down way further than I remember. So that kind of, I'm gonna have to look at that anatomy up there because I don't remember it going that far. With the old reality, the ribcage was a lot bigger, and all that was in here was the lungs. Like, we had larger lungs, and the diaphragm, and maybe a little bit of the liver was in there, but pretty much everything was under the diaphragm, and it was all lung in here, where the new one feels like they push the organs up into the ribcage more. There's like kidneys in there, and liver, and spleens, and yeah, there was a little bit, but now like almost the whole organ's in there. It's very different. Another big thing people are talking about is the floating ribs. Now, I kind of remember ribs like this, where they came around and they really didn't attach to much in the front. They were actual floating ribs. Once in a while, they would say that, you know, it would grow into the cartilage depending on the person. But when I went and got my training as a doctor, this is what we learned, and this is what I remember, because you know, one of the things about chiropractic is you want to be careful adjusting this area because it can be really uncomfortable to a patient to adjust the floating ribs. So at some point this changed, but I definitely remember this old reality, and maybe if you've looked at it now, that this might start resonating with you. Something else I forgot to mention is a lot of people are discussing this area here. Some people say that we had another bone coming off here, like a cervical rib, a long one that used to connect to the shoulder blades. And here you'll see the appearance of the, you know, the first ribs coming through under the collarbone. And this is kind of what I remember when I got trained and what it is now. Now, this shot's not the greatest example, but it's pretty much the best thing I could find out there. And the old reality, the collarbones used to tilt down more. Now, this effect is obviously because, you know, the skeleton's looking forward, but this is give you a good idea what I meant, that it was bent a lot more, where in the new reality it's straighter.